Coming up on this week's Fever Film Room, Indiana overcame yet another double-digit deficit on Wednesday night before falling in overtime to Phoenix. Assistant coaches Jessica Miller and Tully Bevilaqua join the show to break down their tight battle with the Mercury. And we'll give you an inside look at the day-to-day jobs of Miller and Bevilaqua, and how are the coaches preparing for Indiana's upcoming games against Seattle and Washington. All that and more is coming up right now. Hello and welcome into another Fever Film Room. I'm Pat Boylan. Joining us, a couple of assistant coaches, Jessica Miller, Tully Bevilaqua. Let's go back to Wednesday night's game against Phoenix. Another wild one here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. You guys get down double figures. Again, come storming back. Tully not able to get the victory this time. What did you see as the difference once you hit the overtime?
Well, I think it just comes down to a mentality, having that Warriors mentality of winning the battle. And just getting consistency now. We're starting to see some good things, but we just need to get the consistency with that.
When we got to overtime, Jessica, you had Breanna Stewart had fallen to injury. Erica played 40-plus minutes. Candace played 40-plus minutes. Both teams are playing a lot of minutes, but did you feel like you ran out of gas at all?
I don't know if it was that we ran out of gas. I think it's just, that's crunch time. Brittany came out pretty strong in that last overtime area there and just kind of took over. We let her get in a couple positions we didn't necessarily want to. We didn't get her out of off the low block a couple times. A couple times we didn't get our help side where it needed to be, and they just took advantage of those situations, and then we just didn't hit a couple shots for us. Sometimes it happens, and then we battled as long as we could until that last final buzzer went off, and it just doesn't go your way sometimes at the end.
In 2 of your 3 home wins, you guys had fallen behind by double figures and come back and win. Is there a balance of being happy with the resiliency but not trying to get in that spot in the first time?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to get down early. And we've talked about this too. We've been known as the comeback kids a little bit, and you don't always want that name. It's not always a positive. We want to kind of start out early. We want to give the first punch, especially in our home court, make them chase us sometimes. So as much as we wanted to come back and win that game, it just didn't fall in our way this time.
Tully, what are those huddles, the locker room like when you guys are down? Because for whatever reason, you guys have found a lot of resiliency in those moments and have been able to come back in those games.
It's extremely important. Obviously, the body language is important. We were always in the game. Even a couple of times throughout, it felt like we were down a little bit more than what we actually were. So it was like reinforcing to the players, hey, we're only 2 or 3 baskets down, so we just got to lock in and get some stops. We have a tendency to get down on ourselves a little bit more than what we should do when we make mistakes, and it's just making sure we kind of like pick each other up and drag each other out of those situations and focus on the next play and not worry about what just happened, because you can't change that. In
that game on Wednesday, Erica Wheeler has 24. All of a sudden, Breanna Stewart goes down early. She's thrust into a pretty big role. Former Fever point guard, what did you think of her effort?
Erica Wheeler, she's getting better and better with every training session, with every game. And I don't know whether she's ever played 42 minutes in a game before in her career. So to come out against a team with Olympians, the champions, Phoenix Mercury, and lead this team to an overtime, unfortunately an overtime loss, I've got high praise for Erica Wheeler, and I think she was very admirable. She made some mistakes, and she's going to learn from that process. But she's a battler. She really is a battler, and she brings good energy to this team.
Certainly not legal, but the thought of having her lace up the shoes and go in, at least in the back of your head maybe. Let's go to practice. You guys just getting out of a quick practice. What's the main focus right now? Is it still on defense and transition defense specifically?
Definitely. It's about us. We have Seattle tomorrow, so we talked a little bit about them, but about how we can defend against them. What can we do to be ready for that? But yeah, transition defense is probably going to be a point for us for a long time. Every team in the league wants to run transition, so if you can't handle that, then it's going to be tough to get on to the next things in scouting and get ready for those parts. So.
Tully, you're obviously very big into the mental side of things, and what I find it interesting, and Jessica just hit on it, when you talk to the players, they're all talking about it's on us. We're focused on us, not necessarily Seattle coming up, but it's on us. What kind of a mental advantage can that give a team when you're keeping the focus not on who they're playing, but what's in front of them?
Well, I think it's positive because you're you can control the things that you can control. You can control your effort. I mean, that's one thing that we've talked about. We've always got to have 100% effort. So you control that. You know the defenses that we want to play. We've got the scouting reports from the coaches. So we've got all the tools in front of us, and it's on us now to follow through with that game plan and follow through with that 100% effort. So, we walk off that court and we can't tick 100% for all of those categories. It's on us, not the other team.
We've done interviews with you guys. I think the fans have gotten to know you. Of course, Tully, they know you from your playing days. But I want to get maybe a little bit more in depth on your guys' specific roles. And Tully, let's start with you. Player development coach. What is day in and day out your duties here in your first season doing that?
Well, I feel like I'm an extension to Pokey, to Jessie, to Steve. I'm like an extension to them, just to help with individual stuff with the players, working on some of their ball handling. Jessie does a lot of it with them, and I try and complement her with working with some of the players as well. And it's just, throughout practice, just whispering in their ear on certain things. You don't want to put too much in their ear at one particular time, so it's just focusing on a few key aspects of the game at the right time. And just, like I said, when they've got the legs to do a little bit of extra work, it's just getting lots and lots of reps up.
I think most people are familiar with what an assistant coach is, but here with the Fever, there's two assistant coaches. There's you and Stephen Key. How are you similar? How are you different into your duties?
Well, for the first part, Stephen has a little bit more experience than I do in this field. But we do a lot of similar things in terms of scouting reports. We both do our individual workouts with players. He does post players. I do more guards, and Tully compliments me in that area. And for us, it's just about really helping our players get to that next level. So everyone's at a certain level to start, and we want them to be the best of who they can become. And so individual work, whether that's video, whether that's individual workouts, whether that's just talking to them and pumping them up, everybody needs something different on a different day. And so anything that we can do to help our team get to the level where we're trying to be at. And it's not always on a piece of paper. So the scout's great, takes work, takes a lot of video to do. But at the end of the day, if I can't translate the message to our players, then it doesn't help anyone.
You talk about scouting. You've got Seattle coming up here. It's the third time you're going to play them in under a month. Does that provide a unique challenge for you?
Well, I mean, we know what they want to do. Now it's about us going out there and making them get to those fourth, fifth options of what they want to accomplish out there. And then for us, also about taking advantages where we could be successful, since we know what they're going to do.
Tully, you know a player like Sue Bird quite well. But when you look at Seattle, they're interesting because they've got some veteran leadership. Breanna Stewart, who's young in this league but made a significant impact. When you look at them, what do you see?
Well, I mean, they're a very balanced team, and obviously you've mentioned Sue Bird, one of the best players in the world. Very, very veteran, very smart. One of the smartest players I've ever had the pleasure of obviously playing alongside and learning from. She knows how to read defenses. So we just have to do the basic fundamentals, keep her in front. And when she's being taken care of defensively, we can't fall asleep and forget about the other complementary players around her. But it's all about just locking in, and I think one of the key players we need to kind of keep an eye on is Alicia Clark, a great role player for Seattle, and I think she doesn't get as much credit maybe as what you hear about with Sue and Stewart, but she's hurt us quite a few in the last couple of occasions, so she's someone that I think we also need to lock in on.
Your guys' focus, I know, in that direction right now. For those who might be watching the video here on Saturday, Friday after the Seattle game, I want to take a quick look forward. 3 home games in a row. You win that final home game, can that give you confidence going into Washington on the road?
Oh, definitely. We're going to take whatever win we can get and move from there. We'll take the positives out of it, learn from the negatives, and move on to the next. But, yeah, you obviously will feel real good after a win. You'll get to enjoy that night if we can get it on Friday. But then at the next day, it's working for the next team. So you can't get too high, can't get too low. Just like coming off a loss today, we're going to use that as energy to try to get the win on Friday.
Tully, you guys are a shot away from being 4-0 here in this building. What's the key to translating that over to the road?
Well, you've got to try and work out, okay, in the past, is there something I can do differently now to maybe change up my routine, because maybe what I've been doing hasn't been working. Think about little things that you can help to get the rest that you need, get the hydration, and get the food right. So when it comes to game time, you've already done the work to know that you're ready for that side of things. So sometimes it's not just on the court preparation, it's a little bit of the off the court stuff. So, they've got to get that winning feeling back and take it on the road.
Well, it's a quick turnaround for the Indiana Fever on Friday. They take on Seattle here inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse. feverbasketball.com/tickets or the Bankers Life box office is how you can be here. If you're watching the show on the website, the tickets tab right above us is how you can get that done. If you can't attend the game, it will be on Fox Sports Indiana. Chris Cineri, Debbie Antonelli will be on the call, and then Sunday the Fever visit Washington. Our assistant coaches, Tully Bevilaqua, Jessica Miller, appreciate your time. Good luck on Friday and going forward.
Thank you very much.